Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, we're just gonna jump right into it today because we are tackling one of the most painful yet honestly liberating truths you're ever gonna realize in life. We're gonna look really closely at how society actually views your effort versus your success. And I want to establish right out of the gate here, This Explainer is gonna be a little bit of tough love. We are looking directly at the gap between what we wish the world was like and how the machine actually operates. Because the undeniable truth is, people don't really respect your struggle, they respect your results.
Okay, let's dive into this jarring disconnect. Because from childhood, we're all fed this very specific myth, right? We're taught that if you just put your head down, work hard amidst piles of books and tasks, that effort automatically earns respect and admiration. But then you grow up and you hit the harsh reality. Real life simply doesn't work like that. The brutal truth is that the world notices outcomes, not your effort. It's a really bitter pill to swallow, for sure. But recognizing this massive gap between our childhood myths and the brutal reality, that's your very first step toward actual freedom.
All right, moving into section 1, the myth of hard work and breaking the illusion. Let's explore exactly what happens when you're trying to build something meaningful from absolutely nothing. And hey, if you are in the struggle phase right now, I really want to validate how you're feeling. Because during this period, you are pouring literally everything you have into your goals. But what's the response? Most people are just gonna ignore you. They doubt you. Or honestly worse, they quietly laugh at your dreams. And why is that? Because right now, nobody sees your sleepless nights. Nobody sees your repeated failures. They don't see the loneliness, the crushing stress, or the deep personal sacrifices you're making every single day. To the outside world, you are completely invisible.
And here is where the bitter irony really kicks in. The moment you cross that finish line and become successful, the script completely flips. Suddenly, everyone starts supporting you. They're praising your mindset. They tell you how absolutely inspiring you are. And the scary, almost infuriating part of this is that these are very often the exact same people who never believed in you when you actually needed their support. They totally withheld their belief when it mattered, only to just shower you with praise when you don't even need it anymore.
Section 2, the psychology of success and why they ignore you. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is that this lack of support isn't necessarily malicious. It's actually rooted in deeply ingrained biological and psychological human nature. It really all comes down to value association. Psychologically speaking, humans are just naturally attracted to status, confidence, and success. In fact, it takes the human brain less than 1/10 of a second to subconsciously process and categorize status markers. Our brains are literally hardwired to associate success directly with value. This means people naturally admire winners, even when they have absolutely no idea about the agonizing pain, the late nights, or the tears behind that victory. They see the result, their brain flags it as valuable, and the admiration just follows automatically. So they aren't ignoring your struggle out of spite, their brains just aren't wired to reward the invisible process. And this brilliantly illustrates how society is constantly reacting to the signals you broadcast. When you represent success, it automatically creates respect. Representing money creates attention. Projecting confidence creates attraction. People treat you based on what you represent to them, these tangible outcomes, not who you truly are in the dark. So until you have those actual results to broadcast, the world is going to stay pretty quiet.
Which brings us to section 3, the validation trap, and entering the danger zone.
Listen, this is easily the most perilous part of your entire journey. Every meaningful goal follows a specific life cycle. Step 1 is always the lonely struggle. Every single journey requires a period where absolutely nobody believes in you except yourself. And yeah, it feels extremely lonely. But step 2, this is where the real threat lies, the danger zone of self-doubt. This is that brutal gap between putting in the work and actually seeing the results. If you can somehow survive this, you reach step 3, the internal shift, and eventually step 4, the applause. But man, so many people never make it past step 2. Let's look at why.
Here's exactly how the trap works. It's basically a descending staircase. You start out by working hard, but as we established, nobody notices. Because nobody notices, nobody claps for you, nobody cares. Because it's so silent, self-doubt quietly starts growing inside your mind. You begin questioning yourself. You question your goals. You question your abilities. Life just feels incredibly unfair. And finally, right at the bottom of the stairs, your dreams simply die. A slow, quiet death, all because the external world didn't validate your internal effort.
So the crucial point is this: most dreams die, not because people failed, but because they wanted validation before results.
If you are depending on applause to continue putting one foot in front of the other, you are never going to survive the journey. It makes it completely impossible to weather the lonely phase. You absolutely have to break the addiction to other people's validation.
Section 4, the silent ascent, and making the internal shift.
Now, let's pivot. Let's look at how to use this lack of applause as a massive catalyst. This lonely phase isn't just an obstacle, it actually contains hidden power. When nobody supports you, something incredible happens. Let's move to and see how this builds immense mental strength. It forges deep discipline. It develops an unshakable character. Why? Because you are forced to become your own motivation. You have to generate your own momentum entirely from within. And that right there, that is where real permanent growth begins. Once you really understand this, you can stop wasting your energy trying to prove yourself to everybody. You must fiercely accept a cold but incredibly empowering truth. The world ignores potential, excuses, and good intentions. What does it actually reward? Value, action, and results. You've got to stop expecting emotional support from everyone around you and just align yourself with what the world actually responds to.
Silent progress is more powerful than loud excuses. Let that sink in for a second. I want you to stop expecting a cheering section. Stop talking about what you are going to do and start focusing completely on building your life in absolute silence. Let your daily actions do the talking, because the discipline you build in the dark will eventually shine brighter than any excuse you could ever make.
And I can promise you this, one day, those same exact people who completely ignored your struggle are going to come up to you, and they will ask about your success. But the beautiful part? By then, you won't even need their approval anymore, because surviving that agonizing phase where no one noticed your effort, it fundamentally transformed you. The process already changed you. Accepting this truth might sound a bit cold at first, but it will ultimately make you mentally stronger than almost everyone else around you. So we leave you with this final, critical question. Will you wait for applause or build in silence? Look, if the reality we unpacked in this explainer hit you hard today, do not ignore it. Use it as fuel. If you can survive the phase where nobody notices your effort, you will eventually reach the phase where nobody can ignore your results. Keep building, even when nobody is watching.